The crystal is going up and down and it's rotating, and when our character passes through, the crystal disappears and gets in the character, and we have collected. But right now, this is just a visual effect. We don't see this information of how many crystals we have collected, or how we can see this information. Okay. So a little tip now is to go this to crystal, and we are going here to add a tag, and I will explain you why. The tag is pretty much a way that we can group similar items together, that we want to have a similar collision event. I will explain you in a bit, and it will not be so confusing. So let's see first how we can create a tag. We click here and we type any name we like. I will name it crystal. Okay, crystal, and we hit enter, and now we have a tag called crystal, and we can also make it a different color just to be easy to find it here. Okay, so we can add this tag crystal in any item we want. So you see the crystal is here. Okay, and why I did this, you will understand in a little bit. Just for now, you should know that that this crystal has this tag. Okay, crystal. So how we can see how many crystals we have collected? Okay, first of all, we should create a variable, and the variable, as I told you before, is something that we can store information, and we want to store this information of how many crystals our character has collected. So let's go to our main character and go to variables, and exactly like we did before with the health, we are going to create a new variable, and we are going to call this total crystals, for example, total crystals. Okay, something like that. Total crystal. Okay. Alright, now it's 0 because our character don't have any crystals collected yet. But we have this variable, so we know where to store this information. Okay. What we are going to do now is to go and create a new animation. Okay, a new animation here inside our character, but it could be anywhere. It doesn't matter, just for organizing things. And we are going to call this tracking. How to call this tracking crystals. Okay, anything, it doesn't matter. So tracking crystals. So what we want this to track? We want to track the total number of the crystals that we have collected. And to do this, first we want to see how we can increase this number, this variable number, the crystals, from 0 to 1. Okay, so we are going to import our main character here. And we import our main character because the variable that we have just created is inside our main character. And we click this sign, and now we can animate variables. Okay, you see we have available option variables, and we find the total crystal. Okay, and right now it says origin, and origin means current value. So current value is 0. So we want to increase this value by 1. So we hit +1. So anytime this animation plays, this variable will be increased by 1. So we have one crystal, and one crystal. And in triggers tab, now this is why we have created this tag, this crystal tag. We are going again to add a collision event, collision started, between our main character, which has physical properties. But instead of adding the crystal, imagine if we had 50 crystals, we had to add 50 crystals here, 50 events. So we don't want to add 50 events, we want to add only one event. So we check now the collision between our main character and anything that has the tag crystal. Okay, so anything, anytime our character collides with something, anything that has this tag crystal, this animation will play. So we make sure that we include this tag only to crystals. Okay, because otherwise I will just collecting crystals just by touching objects. Okay, so, and we save this. Okay, like this, we save this information. Every time that this character collides with a crystal that contains this crystal tag, this animation will play and will increase this variable by 1. And now we need to see how we can display this information on our screen, because right now we don't know. We know we have collected 1, but we can't see this information. So let's let's add to our scene a simple plane in the primitives, simple plane. Okay, and we will move this plane a little bit here, and we are going to add a new material and create a new material like we did before, and we will call these numbers, and we will disable these shadows. We don't need these to cast any shadows or to affect it by other shadows, and we are going to set it to basic, and we are going to add a texture, and for this we are going to add a special texture that contains numbers. Okay, might be confusing right now, but you will see in a moment. Let's make these, let's take this to -90, and let's make this a little bit bigger just to see the numbers. Okay, so this is our texture. It's our texture that contains all these numbers from 9 to 0, and this texture is special because we have created like this to be divided into 10 equal parts, 10 equal pieces. Okay, every piece is exactly 1/10 of the total texture size. Okay, and why this is important now? Because now if we go back to our material and we change the opacity type to cutout like we did with the fire, and we start moving this a little bit down, you will see now we cut this white area, or you could include something that has transparency. It doesn't matter, just to show how it can be done. Okay, so we moved something like that, and now of course it's very easier, much easier to see these numbers. And now if we play with the tiling like we did before, now it makes more sense, the tiling. Okay, so we can have 3 rows, or we can have 2 lines or 3 lines, but exactly same way that we go up, we can go down. So if I type 0.5 now, not 5, 0.5, now we have half the numbers. And if I type 0.1, now we have only the 1/10 of this texture. Okay, and of course now we can set this back to 100, so we see we have a nice 0 here. Okay, and now the tiling, the vertical tiling, now makes more sense, because if, for example, you move the horizontal tiling, you will see that the 0, it moves like this, and it's still 0 because we are moving the horizontal tiling. But if we move this vertical tiling, now you will see we have 1 when this is 10, and now we have 2 when this is 20, and so on. And now we can change these numbers according to this offset value. So, and we know from the fire that we can change this inside an animation. So let's move this little plane. Let me save also. Let's rename it first to something like numbers user interface. And let's click and drag here all the way up to our camera. Okay, and our camera here is here, and this plane is here. We need to make it to bring it here. So let's select this number, and let's make these all zeros, and the rotation 0, and now our plane is here. Okay, but the camera is targeting there, and this number is facing there, so we also need to rotate this to face the camera. So let's make something like 90, and we can adjust the position a little bit, like 0.15, make it up, or minus 0.45. And of course now it's really big and we don't want to be like that. So we can enable the constraint proportion again, like we did before, and we scale this to 1%. Okay, so now this is now you will think that this is really small and this is really small. Okay, so but it's there. Okay. Of course, this is not the optimal way to create interface. We have a better version of the interface in the marketplace, and you can download and import it to our game, to your game, and it's with very minimal settings. But just to see how we can manipulate this texture offset through animations. This is just this example. Okay. But the number is here now, and now we will see how we can pass this collecting crystals information, how to pass it in the texture. Okay, so let's go back to animation mode, and we create a new animation. It doesn't matter where, it could be here just for organizing things, and create animation, and we are going to rename this to something. Numbers user interface, anything. Okay, it could be anything. Okay, let's go here, and we import this number, this plane here to the timeline, and we click like we did with the fire, and we are going to animate the material and the offset V. But in this time we are going to delete this origin. We don't want the current position, but we want an absolute value of our variable. So let's import this variable in here, the crystal collect variable. Okay, so $sign again, and if you get confused, don't worry, I will show this again. And we go to main character, and we find the variables, and this is the variable that contains this information about how many crystals we have collected, and just place it here. And because we want the 1/10 of this texture, I will multiply this by 0.1. Okay, because we want the 1/10 of this, and we loop this again, and we want this to play in the beginning of the game and play forever. So now if we actually let me duplicate this crystal, so we have 2 crystals at least. Okay, let me duplicate this, and I will drag this crystal around here, and you see this crystal also contains this tag now, so we don't have to do anything. And now if we collect the first crystal, you see this goes back to 1, and the second goes back to 2.